Well, hello there. My name is Hannah and this is Gamers Waypoint. So welcome back everybody. I do apologise that it's been quite a while since I made a video. Oops. Life is always strange, but it has been particularly strange this past few months / year, so sometimes it's a bit difficult to get things out, but no more excuses. I am trying to get way more videos out this year that I hope you will enjoy and continue to watch. Today I want to start a new series that I'm calling Similar But Different, and the aim, as you might have already guessed, is to kind of take two games and compare them in the ways that they're similar and in the ways that they are different. You're smart, you've got it. The aim of this as well though is to kind of focus on one game more than another, so it's kind of a bit like the SSX Steep video I did where the focus is more on a particular game and the other game is intertwined into how I'm analysing it, yada yada yada. So if it seems a bit imbalanced, there is kind of a shift towards a particular game, and in this case today I want to talk about Gun, which is a game released back in 2005 and it is a Western game. I don't know if you might have heard of it. The reason I am not sure how many people have heard of it, despite the fact it got rave reviews when it came out, is one, yes, it's 15 to 16 years old now, but also because we are so used to the likes of Red Dead Redemption in terms of Western narratives these days. So if you have heard of it, please buckle up and join me in this reminiscing of a game that I really enjoyed as a kid, and if you haven't, well, you might want to check it out anyway. So without further ado, let's get on with the video. So like I said, Gun was released back in 2005 and was published by Activision. Now, what am I going to be likening this game to? I'll give you 3 seconds to guess. I know you've got it, it's fine. It's Red Dead Revolver. In case you guessed Red Dead Redemption, I'll let you have that because this video was originally going to be Gun, the Western before Red Dead Redemption, until I remembered that Red Dead Revolver exists. Good one, Hannah. At least I looked it up. So, with Gun, you are a character called Colton White, and also there is a little bit of a spoiler warning here, so if you don't want to know anything about the game, sorry to see you go, but that is the name of this video. So your protagonist is called Colton White. He seeks to avenge the death of his father, Ned White. And the story obviously takes you through the people that lead you to the person responsible ultimately for Ned being killed on a steamboat at the beginning of the game. It's actually quite interesting because the story itself takes an Indiana Jones-esque type narrative, which is arguably quite fun and a little bit different in that respect to Red Dead Revolver, which obviously we are trying to figure out the similarities but also the differences between these games, as what you need to do is find the two pieces to this golden cross. So it is kind of like a Lost Ark situation, which is pretty cool, and you kind of get to transition in the game, kind of befriending Native Americans and finding out your own ancestry. So that is a similarity between Colton White and the protagonist of Red Dead Revolver, Red Harlow. They both come from Native American descent, so they are not kind of like your full-on traditional Clint Eastwood type cowboy. They do come from a mixed descent, which at first I didn't realise about Red Dead Revolver until I looked it back up and found that that is the case there as well. So they are very similar in that respect, but I think that in Gun it gets explored a little bit more, which I think is pretty cool. At first, if you're playing it, it seems a bit insensitive admittedly, but it does iron it out towards the end and everybody's happy with each other, so don't worry about that. But yes, so in Gun you go through the cities, which are not particularly big, to be honest. You have Dodge City, which is this small kind of outpost town focusing on deliveries, but it has a saloon. And then you also have Empire City, which back in the day to me seemed worlds apart, but then upon revisiting it, they're pretty much right next to each other. In between you have a place called the Badlands. Once again, I remembered it being this massive expanse of land with loads of chasms and canyons and everything like that, but it's not really that big in reality. It's amazing what you can imagine when you're a kid and remember. But yes, so basically you've got Dodge City, the Badlands, and then Empire City. Whereas Red Dead Revolver only really kind of takes place around Brimstone. So there is a difference there as well. That focuses on one place, whereas Gun does try to seem a little bit like a bigger map in the way that It tries to create the illusion of going to 2 different cities, but in reality, like I say, none of them are particularly big. Obviously these are games that were released 15 years ago, so the capacities of consoles were nowhere near what they are today, especially considered we've now reached the next generation. Whoop! If you can get your hands on one. Yeah, good luck. And so things were smaller, but one thing I will say is that it's intriguing because back then Vice City and San Andreas were not that long out, 2002 and 2004 respectively, and they had much bigger maps and they also had a little bit more to do, so I don't see it as like that they couldn't do anything with it. They just decided not to, I suppose. Kind of interesting in that respect, but hey ho. So in terms of pacing for both games, they are actually quite quick and very easy to get through if you know what you're doing. Both games come in at about 3.5 hours playtime each, so you could definitely wipe them out in a single day, especially if you are a sharp shooter. Revisiting Gun, it did seem a little bit less nuanced, a little bit less planned out. All the sequences seem to happen extremely quickly. So the thing that pops to mind always when I'm thinking about this game now is the fact that you meet a working girl in a saloon called Jenny, and you're supposed to kind of develop this bond, and somehow you still do, despite the fact that it is a very quick encounter in comparison to the rest of the game. But you probably only know her for about 10 to 20 minutes, which is not a large amount of time, even if spread over nearly 4 hours. So you meet her, she kind of reveals stuff about Ned's past, and you're like, oh, this makes sense. And she's going to help you, and she comes with you to Empire City where you meet like the mayor called Hoodoo Brown, and it's so fast paced after that. Usually you'll have some establishing missions, you'll get to kind of know a character and build up their personality, and then you start to get a sense of, oh, is this a bad guy or is it a good guy? But literally you arrive at Empire City with Jenny. She pretty much, don't know what that is, she pretty much gets killed off straight away. Poor Jenny, that actually kind of broke my heart. And Hoodoo Brown is instantly the bad guy. There is no like establishing mission, it's within the first mission that you go do something for him and his cronies backfire on you, and you're like, well, I saw that coming, but it usually takes a bit longer. And then you get into this boss fight, which it just, by today's standards, happens really quickly, which is a little bit of a shame because I don't know if it's that Gun didn't do well in that respect of pacing back then, or if it's just spoiled by today's gaming efforts, and if, you know, the perception's been warped a little bit. There are also not particularly many side missions to take your attention away from the main plot, so sometimes you might break up your main plot by going and doing a load of things for other people who are obviously secondary characters. Like in Red Dead Redemption 2, you can spend hours doing that, and that is something that is fantastic, especially if you don't want to go back to Micah, because nobody wants to go back to Micah. So there isn't much to do in respect to that, apart from kind of go mine some gold, which is actually a really cute little animation, sparkly gold nuggets in the corner of the canyon, and you like hack to it. Other than that, there's not much to do apart from some delivery missions, and from what I can see from Red Dead Revolver, it's kind of a similar situation, not anything particularly grandiose in terms of extras to the story, which obviously got built upon by the time Red Dead Redemption rolled around, but still interesting in terms of a critique, considering that Vice City and San Andreas had loads to do. Arguably everything led to the main mission, but yeah, I remember there being so much stuff to do, and I'm just praying that Rockstar remaster those at some point, because we're all waiting for it. Oh, it'll just bring my childhood back to life if they do that. So yeah, apart from that, I feel like No Gamer's Waypoint video would be complete if I didn't start to talk a little bit about soundtrack, because I love the music. And so it does have a nifty little soundtrack in Gun. It does admittedly get a little bit repetitive. I don't know if it was just space on the disc or whatever else, but you'll hear the same song quite a few times. But it is quite a nice little orchestral thing that plays when you're in Dodge City. And also the Mission Complete tune is super catchy in my opinion, and has some kind of bullet sound effects to accompany it. Red Dead Revolver does actually have a little bit more of an extensive soundtrack, which is admittedly a little bit cooler. It sounds a bit like it came out of a Tarantino flick like Pulp Fiction, and you feel slightly more badass going about things whilst listening to it, which I feel is like part of the aim in a Rockstar game. Definitely you want to feel like you can accomplish anything, including running after someone with a chainsaw, which does not happen in Red Dead Revolver or Red Dead Redemption, but does happen in Vice City, so you know, always go to Miami for your fun. And then one last thing would kind of be mechanics. So they both kind of look similar in their execution of gun firing, etc. One thing I noticed about both is that the crosshairs on them are quite a little bit bigger than we see now. Obviously usually you just have like a single laser dot to kind of point you in the right direction, but this was like a proper crosshairs, which reminded me a little bit more of an arcade shooter, which I'm grateful that they kind of pulled away from that. But I guess that's how it used to look and I just didn't remember it. But then again, I'm now older than I was, which is how things go unless you're Benjamin Button. So yeah, I'm glad that they've kind of downsized that now. But another thing is Deadeye. So this is the thing that got me thinking about Gun before Red Dead Redemption, because in Gun it's called Quick Draw and it works the exact same way as Deadeye, and so obviously Activision can't call dibs on that because Rockstar got there before them. Obviously they just gave it a completely different name. In spirit and in action and practice, it's the exact same mechanic, which to be honest, if it's not fixed, if it's not fixed, don't break it. If it's not broke, don't fix it, as they say. And it's true to say that it works well in both games. It's obviously a very efficient way of quick firing, which is kind of a Western feeling that you want to get from a game because, you know, shootouts and all that sort of stuff, it's kind of how it goes, which is a bit better explored in subsequent Western games like Red Dead Redemption 2, but once again that's because they had all of the processing power to put into these kinds of mechanics as a whole. So there you have it. If you hadn't ever heard of Gun before, now you have. Despite the fact it is a few years old now, you still might want to check it out. You can either obviously grab an old disc of it, or I believe you can play it on PC, so there are ways to still get hold of it. And I thought it was worth making a video about this as well, considering I came across an article not too long ago talking to one of the developers of Gun, and he's said that he's very much interested in making a sequel, and if I'm honest, I really hope that they do, because I really enjoyed this game as a kid. I know that it might sound like I don't have as much regard for it now, but like I said, it's because it just seems a lot smaller and it's old. Like they couldn't fit as much media on those discs like they can do now. Blu-ray is a godsend, my firm belief. But yeah, I think that they could do so much with it. I don't know how it would stack up against the giant that is now the Red Dead Redemption series, but I think it could make a really good shot at it. If they get round to making this, I think it could definitely expand upon what Gun was and obviously give us different environments to explore. It would be good if they kind of didn't copy exactly from Red Dead Redemption, which I'm not claiming that they did, but I'm not saying that there aren't similarities, because they're similar but different. Woo! She said the title, woo!
Oh boy, I usually only get this excited when they say the title of a movie in the movie.
All I'm saying is, what if this is as good as it gets?
Yeah, there it is! There it is!
So yeah, maybe keep an eye out for that if you are wanting a next-gen Western game to sink your teeth into. Maybe there will be a Gun 2 along in the not-so-distant future. Keep fingers crossed, because, you know, it's always fun to go horseback riding, I suppose. But yes, there you have it. Go check it out if you haven't done already. So there you have it. Thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the video and at least found it a little bit informative. If you like this kind of format, the similar but different, then please do let me know in the comments below. I'd love any feedback and it helps me to know what to do in the future. Thank you for subscribing, liking. If you did like this, please do give it a like and a share. It helps us out a lot. And until next time, I'm Hoodoo Brown!
I'm Hoodoo Brown!
You were.
I'm not, I'm Hannah, but thank you for joining me. And don't forget, never stop exploring. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.